Pete, welcome back. It's another big week in trading. We've seen a lot of things happen this week, including a Biden-Trump dust-up. I mean, how did that work through in your mind?
Well, good morning, Will. I tell you what, it was very, very interesting to sit there from a viewer looking in 90 minutes. Yes, there was a lot of argy-bargy, a lot of on the front foot as far as Biden, fighting aggression with aggression and telling Trump to shut up and hey man and all these sort of things. I don't know who actually won and who lost. That's not my decision and my probably interpretation, but it certainly was fantastic TV to take on board, I think, from a viewer's perspective, what the core issues are and how they're going to discuss them.
The guy that came out of it best, in my opinion, was the moderator. I mean, imagine handling two personalities in that format for that time. And when do you interject?
You know that very well. You're an anchor. You do it to some of the biggest firms in Australia as far as public plays and globally. It's not an easy task. And when you've got two domineering domineering personalities and political persuasion wanting to sell their argument, it's damn hard. Very, very hard.
Pete, in the week that was and the week that will be, I mean, the biggest item I think later today will be the non-farm payroll news that should come out of the US. I think we've just seen now breaking news is the 2.2 trillion in the US. I mean, what does it mean? What next?
Well, first off, we've got those non-farm payrolls coming in around about 10 hours. Now, we're saying it's going to be about that 837 to 850,000 read. So that's a good sign. I mean, that's where we sit at the moment. The next part of it is that US dollar seems to be on a trending downwards. We saw that it bounced fairly strong over the last week, back to around that 94.2, 94.3. Now we're down at around 93.8 for the US dollar index. So you could see a little bit further softness, and that leads us into that October, traditionally a very, very volatile month with equity. So let's just see what happens. It's going to be, I think, that volatility with 4.5 weeks out to an election is going to be front and centre.
No, it's a big time. So with the non-farm payrolls out tonight, with some data coming through, push it a little bit around for me. If it's higher than expectation, what does it mean?
First off, if it's higher than expectation, it's a good thing. That means more people were gainfully employed over that period, that August month. What it means is that more people are employed, so that means that your unemployment numbers, as far as a percentage, is falling. So that's really what any government's after. To the downside is it's not as strong as it was in the August read, and where it goes, it's probably just a slow grind up from here. If you can put 1 million jobs on a month, it's a fairly good recovery. We understand the COVID numbers, we understand from supply chains, and of course with Europe and a lot of other markets are really ratcheting up with their COVID. So I think it's a strong sign, and where we move from here is all I hope is for the positive.
Talking COVID numbers for a minute, I'm just looking at the global tracker. There's 34.1 million infections worldwide at the moment. There's been about 1 million worldwide deaths.
Yes.
Leading countries, India, United States, Brazil, in that order. Still reporting some serious cases.
Absolutely.
But 1 million deaths worldwide, I mean, is that a number that's too big, too small, indifferent? No death is good.
No death is good. Look, Will, from a humanitarian, you can answer this question on so many ways. Humanitarian, from a medical perspective, we've got. If I listen to a medicos say everyone gets it. Well, is that where we're going? I'm not sure. Then you look at the humanitarian side. You've got borders closed from an economic standpoint, and I think one death is one too many. What it does, it's certainly created economic markets, and hopefully we can, from an Australian perspective, unlock some of these states and get our economic framework back on board, that it's going to be a strong, hopefully, December, January, February period. The proof's in the pudding. Let's wait and see what happens, and I think that just time will tell. These are uncharted. We haven't got any reference point to look back on and say this is how we manage out of this. So let's just hope that we don't see too many more deaths.
All right, Pete, so we've got some big things happening. We've got the non-farm payroll out tonight. We've just seen the stimulus package passed in the US of 2.2 trillion. We've had our Prime Minister here in Australia talking up manufacturing, local goods, electric vehicles, and all the resource industry
and
around going into
get people employed.
Manufacturing, get them employed, get them working. We've seen a relatively flat, if you like, the Dow Jones was relatively flat. However, we saw the tech stocks really sort of outperforming.
Well, the Dow was flat at about up 0.13 a couple of hours ago when New York shut, whereas we had the tech sector up the best part of 1.5, 1.6%. So it was a very strong move to the upside. There's no doubt this has been a tech-led recovery, and where we go from here, do those companies still continue growth going into 21, into 22, and or are they fully priced? So that's many analysts will say with cheap money and with consumers, embracing that form of technology, it seems to be, onward and upward, and a great opportunity for traders.
Well, as some of the good guys saying, they cover the downside and let the upside take care of itself.
Yeah, you never go broke taking a profit, Will.
So Pete, walk me through the weekend. I mean, okay, great. So the non-farm payrolls come out. Everyone gets set for next week. Probably holiday to some states in Australia and no doubt others around the world.
Yes.
If we look ahead next week, all things being equal, what do we expect will happen?
First off, we move 1 week closer to the election. So does President Trump declare anything, or does he say, what does he do to really sway a market? And that's what I think all traders are waiting on. What's he saying on Twitter? What's he prepared to say as far as interviews and press releases and so on? So that's where I think the great percentage of the population that are traders are looking at. What is the outside interaction going to affect the market? So that's a wait and see. Secondly, continued volatility. I keep on saying that, but they're wild swings. We saw crude oil down, many percent overnight. And does that continue? It's been on a holiday for the last couple of months, very range bound, not doing much. And now we're at the start to really get some volatility in. So there's that side of it. Gold's up, bid up nicely through that 1905 level, and that US dollar coming off. So there's plenty of things to take on board, or plenty of news items to take on board and to consider. And if you're looking at it from a trading perspective, I think there's plenty of opportunity.
Another big ticket we didn't really talk about, in Australia, we've got a budget coming out shortly.
Sure. Well, that's, as far as Frydenberg's concerned, he's going to present it, and that's the Treasurer. Wow, have a look at deficits, have a look at what you've got to do as far as, job keepers and job seekers and all of those iterations. So it's just I think hold on and hang on, and let's see what happens to our economy here and how Europe faces, and of course Asia, over the next couple of months.
All right, Pete. Well, let's wait. We're about 8 hours away from the non-farm payroll, so let's wait and see how that comes through. Tech stocks are up. Markets are sort of reacting pretty well at the moment.
Absolutely.
Plenty of volatility to trade.
Huge volatility, Will. And that's the other thing. We can't get our minds away from the true essence of what trading is. Be diligent in your preparation as far as your fundamental analysis, your technical analysis, how you set a trade up. And the other side, I made joke of it, light-hearted comment, you never go broke taking a profit. But I really want to push that one through. That was a famous line by the stockbroker Rene Rivkin I heard about 20 odd years ago. But it's very, very matter of fact. Many traders, unfortunately, look for too much blue sky. When you're in front and a trade is actually profitable, things can happen in these sort of markets very, very quickly. So I keep on saying you'll never go broke, just taking a profit, realising the market, and then look for further opportunities.
Wide words, Mr. McGuire. Thanks for having us, and we look forward to tuning in next week and unpacking what happened and what next.
Thank you, Will.